Okay, in this video we're going to talk about Lab 11. Alright, so let's go ahead and look at Lab 11. And so this is Lab 11, and the first thing we need to do is have the appropriate directories. This will be in a directory HW in Lab 11, and there is a lab check. First is going to be copying some files, but let's see what the lab check looks like. So here I'm in an account that does not have a directory. If we run the lab check here, it just complains about a directory not existing, so we need to make that directory. We can run the lab check again. Now it's complaining about the lab11 directory, which is supposed to be inside of the homework directory. So here I am in the homework directory, make my lab11 directory, and the files will go in there. And now it's complaining about these files not existing. So I'll go ahead and copy these files. Should be able to copy and paste if I haven't made any mistakes. So now we have these 5 files, and we get this bunch of messages here saying that the output is incorrect. So the first one here is for lab11_1. This is what my program does. This is what the program does in this test account, and then this is what it was supposed to do. So let's go ahead and look at lab11_1. So this is a program from class that prints 0 up to 90 multiples of 10. Now if we go over and look at the lab assignment, it says to change the for loop so it prints the multiples of 3 from 0 to 39. So it's supposed to go from 0 to 39 by multiples of 3. See what happens there. We have to go back up and look at what it said for lab11_1. So here we see this is the output from this test account, and this is the correct. So it's close but not exactly correct, because it's supposed to go up to 39. So let's check it again. And now it says lab check lab 11, lab11_1.js looks okay. Note that the output has to be exactly correct, so even if I have some extra space in here, I believe this will say it's not correct. Okay, so now it says lab11_1 is not correct. This is the output from the test account and the reference. They look the same, but there's this extra space that's there. So everything has to be exactly the same. And it will show us correct. So what you're supposed to do is take the file, modify it in the way that's described here until you get the exact right output. Let's look at what a couple of these other outputs look like. Number 2 here, this is the example from class where we're converting Fahrenheit to Celsius, and this is what was supposed to be printed once you change it. So this is going to be converting, instead of temperatures, it's going to convert miles to kilometers. and you want it to match this exactly. So lab11 underscore 2, you'll be changing, instead of this conversion function being this formula, you'll put in the formula for miles to kilometers. Instead of running it on these numbers, you'll do it on the numbers indicated here. So 1, 3.10686, 26 point, etc. And those are also the ones here. Labcheck 11.3 is the next one. And this is the one with if and else. So this is your starting point. This was the if, else, printing different messages depending on a temperature. So now it's asking you to do different messages depending on a salary. So the first one should be so set a salary variable, and if the salary is more than 200,000, it'll print one thing. If it's between 100,000 and 200,000, it'll print something else, and so on. And then these are the messages that go with each. So if it's more than 200,000, you should print this one. If it's between 100 and 200,000, you print the second one, and so on, all the way down to if it's below 25,000. And these are just based on the household incomes in the United States. And if you look at the correct message from the lab check, this is the message if 100,000 was the salary. So that's from this one. Your code should be correct so that you'll have a salary up here at the top, so that if I change it to something else, I'll get the correct statement printed. Let's look at the fourth one. So the fourth one is similar in where we're changing. This was the code from class that computed the binary from a decimal number. This was the loop. We've looked at this algorithm before. Now that's it in JavaScript. And 51. So there's a mistake in this here. So the reference has 51 as the, I won't be able to change that. Let's pause this for a second. Okay, so this is converting 51 in base 3. So if I ask Google what is 51 in base 3, maybe it'll know the answer. Alright, let's look at this conversion tool. Of course, you could do this on your calculator as well. So we have 51, convert. That did not happen. There's 51, so in base 3, 1220, and that's what the reference output was here. And in base 3, this is the ones place, the threes place. The next place would be 9, and then 27. If you add up 27 plus 2 times 9 plus 2 times 3, it does end up being 51. So you should have your code modified here so that this part here does base 3, and then it should say, instead of binary, base 3. And basically what you have to do is change the 2 here to a 3, change the 2 here to a 3, and add an extra case in here. As it is now, it has a case if the number mod 2 is 0, so the remainder is 0, or 1. When you go to base 3, it'll be the remainder mod 3 is 0, or 1, or 2. And that's what the homework assignment here says. You should have the algorithm correct, and you should have the original set to be 51. but then if I change it, it should give the correct answer. Okay, let's look at the number 5 then. Number 5, just a second. Okay, for the last part on the lab 11, if we're looking at number 5, so the correct output is here, and if you just copy the program as indicated in the assignment, this is the prime program that we looked at in class. It prints off the primes between 2 and 100. So I just want you to change this for statement here so that it does between 10 and 20. And then you would have this output here. Alright, so that's it. We have these standalone JavaScript programs that we want to get the exact right output. And so the reason for doing this is it's a controlled environment that we can get used to the programming concepts before we start doing it in web pages. Good luck.